Good morning, friends. One of the common themes that I hear a lot are that people will say, well, my garden looks gorgeous in the spring, but come July, it just looks sad and tired. How do your gardens look good all summer long? Well, doesn't mean that they're necessarily planted better. It's just a little bit of maintenance that makes a huge difference for those summer gardens. So today I am sharing with you 5 basic summer principles to my gardens that I apply on a regular basis to all the gardens here at Creekside Nursery that give that gorgeous color, structure, flowers, all that we want in our gardens throughout the entire summer. So if your gardens struggle in the summer heat, stay tuned because, like I said, I am sharing these 5 very easy, simple summer principles that will maintain your garden and be absolutely stunning throughout the entire summer. I used to call this a shade garden, and it was until last summer, fall, we renovated this garden and we extended it. So it's taken me a while not to say it is a shade garden. Some of y'all have been like, Jenny, that is not a shade garden anymore. Part of it is a shade garden, but part of it is also a, what I would say, part sun, not full sun garden. And so we are going to spend some time in here. And the reason I'm telling you about the sun conditions is because it has proven to be a little bit of a challenge, being that this is the first summer that I have planted the new space. And so there are some things that I am learning in this space that we're going to talk about that I thought would work, but maybe are struggling as the summer progresses. Let's take a look. As you may recall, we did do that big project last summer into the fall, and we eliminated all of our grass and we made this entire space a garden, flower beds, right? And so the front of the house, definitely full sun, right? So those are doing great. Everything I planted there was appropriate and doing well. And then this side of the house, it was a shade garden because we had the plants, the garden itself was up close to the house. It would get that 4, maybe 5 hours in certain spots of sun, and then it would go into the complete shade. But since we extended it, the plants along in certain spaces, like where the urn is, with those kinds of plants, it gets more sun than I was anticipating or that I remembered. Now my shrubs, my gosh, they're doing great, right? So we've got the incredible Stormproof, just rocking it out. My Ascot Rainbow, I love this perennial. Love and Life, doing really well. Tiny Tough Stuff hydrangeas, they are doing well. We're gonna do some maintenance on them, but like case in point, I put a Pegasus begonia here between, well, I just nooked it in, right? And you can see she's fine, but she's not thriving, right? There is burn on it. That's just telling me that this is getting too much sun and or it is dry. So if you notice down there at the bottom, yes, there is a weed, and then we have some exposed soil. So we're going to try to kind of look at that. And then as we're going through, this bed, of course, is a beautiful combination of shrubs, evergreens with my camellia, the perennials, the annuals, all of that. Overall, I am super impressed with this garden. I love it. It is my absolute new favorite garden, I would say. But of course, I say that about all my gardens, so don't hold me to that. But here we are in early July. We have just gone through this crazy heat wave, still having, you know, kind of high temperatures for us here for our normal. We're above normal right now. And so there are some things that we are going to do in here that are going to help maintain this bed, because beautiful gardens just are not simply planted and walked away from. They are maintained, and just a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of care every couple of weeks makes a huge difference in the overall appearance of the garden. So I am sharing those 5 summer garden principles with you today so that you too can maintain your gardens, have beautiful color, structure, and flowers throughout the heat of the summer. One of my key principles that I always try to do my absolute best with is to stay ahead of the problems. If you have followed us for any length of time, then you have probably heard me say, if you see a weed, pull a weed. And that is what we're going to start with today, because small weeds are way easier to pull than the big mature weeds. I know, my friends, that it is not always possible. There is grace in gardening. And I have got some weeds that are popping up in here because I don't know about your garden. I think this applies to all gardens. We may go through extreme drought, heat waves, tons of rain, you name it, anything that is less than ideal. Well, who's going to thrive in the garden? The weeds. The weeds are going to thrive. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in there and we're going to look and do our best to get rid of every single weed that is in this garden. Because why do we want to pull the weeds? Well, one, the aesthetics, right? We want to have beautiful gardens of our plants of our choosing, not pesky weeds that don't belong there. Two, if you don't pull the weed, most of them will go to seed, and then they're going to spread their little babies all over your garden, and you're going to have even more later on. So we want to nip it in the bud, right? We're going to get rid of it. And then two, there is a reason, because they're going to be taking moisture and nutrients out of your garden that your plants could then have. So there is a competition, right? So seems like a lot of times the weeds are going to win. If you are completely overrun by weeds, I would say take it piece by piece. Section off in your brain, I am going to work from this point to this point, or I am going to spend 30 minutes in the garden, whatever it is. That way you're setting a realistic expectation for yourself and a goal that is easily accomplished. So that way when you're done, you've moved from point A to point B, or you spent that 30 minutes, whatever time it is that you have allotted yourself, then you feel accomplished, and you can look at that one section and go, wow, I did that. That looks so much better. Then the next time you have time, do it again with a different section. So nothing like weed pulling with the fingers. Another question we get all the time is, how do you maintain a weed-free garden? Y'all, we don't spray the gardens. It is called fingers. This is what we do. We go through, we have a regular rotation of the gardens, and we pull the weeds when they're little. Do some of them get past us? Absolutely, but we take care of it. So first up, let's get to weeding. My friends, those little jobs done consistently are much easier than giant cleanup days. Now, I guarantee that there are some weeds in there. They are masters of disguise and camouflage and hiding under little nooks and crannies of plants. That's why I say when you see the weed, pull it, because I guarantee from different angles or positions that you are in your garden, or just wait a couple hours and that weed's going to grow and you are going to find it. So the weeds are out. So garden principle number 2. Your containers, they need different care than those plants in the landscape. I have got 3 hay racks that are like cocoa lined baskets here within this garden, and they definitely need much more attention and care than the ones that are in the landscape, and even the begonias that are in the unique stone urn. Cocoa lined baskets, whether it is any kind of container, if it's a hay rack, a window box, if it is a hanging basket, if it is just a decorative stand, they dry out incredibly fast, especially if you have more mature plants in there that have a really well-developed root system. They're going to need lots of attention, and in the summer, daily watering. So let's look at these and let's see how I determine what I need to do and how do you water these containers effectively. Thankfully, we have a spigot right here, and I've got my hose link. So this hose link will reach this entire bed when it needs to be watered. Highly effective and useful. If you don't have a hose link, y'all, I would really encourage you to do it, because nothing frustrates this summer gardener than wrestling a hose after I have been out watering my garden. I am hot and sweaty, and it just takes me from 0 to 100 wrestling a hose. Hose link, you give it one little, and it just right up she goes. Love it. All right, hay racks. Water every day during the summer. If you miss a day, you're gonna know it. So how do we water? So I like to put my hose, whatever setting you have, but on kind of the shower setting. So it's nice and gentle, right? So it is a nice spray. We're not shooting it out with a massive force. If you don't have a nozzle and you're just going with the straight water, I like to kind of kink my hose a little bit so it's nice and gentle. We don't want to shoot the soil out and or beat up the plants. So I like to go through, and different spots in that basket, the container, I like to hit it. And so with my cocoa lined baskets, you're gonna see that I stay in one spot until I see water coming out the side and the bottom. So I know that that area is nice and well watered. And then I'll scoot over a little bit, and then I'll do the other side, hitting it and making sure that the water is going through the entire basket, that all of that soil is well saturated. We want a nice deep water, as opposed just doing a little sprinkle. A little sprinkle, it'll cool the plants off in the heat of the day, but it's not doing really anything for the roots. So we're going through and going and hitting and making sure that water is coming out. And then I come over here and make sure. Now, I have a hay rack that is in front of our kitchen table, and one corner gets sun longer than the other corner. So when I water that, I make sure that that more sunny corner gets really good and watered. So you can see we have got water dripping out of here. That is what we want. As a side note, y'all always ask about, do I worry about with the siding of my house rotting because I've got containers and water pouring down? This is not a wood siding, this is hardy plank. So it's a cement product, so it's not gonna rot. If you have, wood siding on your house, that's something for you to take in mind. I don't have to worry about that, so that is great. So that is with your cocoa lined baskets. Make sure that deep watering all the way around, and you've got water coming out on all directions. Same thing with your traditional containers. Let's look at those. With my Viking XL begonias right here, they are large and they are in charge and they are gorgeous. So I'm coming in, and notice that I am hitting the water at the roots of the plant, not overhead. So we're gonna come in, and this is a large container. So again, I go and work my way all the way around the container. And I do that until I see water pouring out at the base of this container. So all of your containers, they need to have drain holes. It's a great way to kill plants, is not to have a drain hole, and then they float and they rot. So this drain hole is at the base of the urn, but before the pedestal. So you'll be able to see, yep, so can you see that water starting to shoot out there at the bottom, the darker colors? So we're gonna come around this side, make sure everybody's got some good water. That water's pouring out the bottom, and this has been watered on a regular basis, so I know that the soil is not super dry. If you have containers and they have dried out completely and the plants are screaming, I need water, you're gonna have to come back and water it multiple times to fully saturate your soil. Because if you have bone dry potting soil, when you water it, that water's gonna shoot right through, right? It's like if you have a dry dish sponge that's really dry, and the first time you stick it under the water, the spigot, the water just kind of shoots right off of it. You have to sit there and squeeze it for it to absorb the water. Same thing with your soil. Now, if you need a little help like I do in the garden, let me show you a cute little trick. Works great. Terracotta pots are another type of container that are going to dry out really quickly because they are porous, and so you have greater evaporation in your containers quicker. So here I have some angel face white angelonia. Gorgeous. They love the heat and humidity, but they also enjoy nice consistent water. So what I have done is I have put in here, it is a wine bottle, and there is a terracotta spike in here. You fill the wine bottle up with water, you stick it in, and because terracotta is porous, then this is a great way to kind of supplement the water in the container throughout the day and the weeks. So if you're going on vacation, this is a great thing to do and put in your containers. They may need more water than this is going to give them, but it certainly does help. Because we are in the heat of the summer, and while I'm standing here with the hose, I am going to go ahead and water this really, really well. That is such a huge component with your containers. Water them nice and deeply. Make sure they get plenty of water, that it goes through all the way down to the very bottom of the pot. All right, my friends, so summer garden principle number 3. Do not be afraid to prune. Here I have Let's Dance Skyview hydrangea. This is a reblooming macrophylla hydrangea, and I am going to prune it very selectively. I am not trying to prune it for size because these have been in the ground not even a year. What I am going to do is I am going to carefully come in here and simply remove the old spent blooms. You can see that they are kind of like brown. This one's not so bad. There are some in here that are definitely older. And so what I'm doing is I am, one, cleaning up the plant, making it look pretty, right? Because we have our fresh blooms right here. So let's let them shine. But I'm also reducing a bit of stress off of the plant. That way, the energy of this hydrangea can go into producing more new growth and, yes, hopefully some new blooms. So we're going to come in here and just clean up the plant. This is perfectly fine to do. Now, if you were to have a macrophylla hydrangea that is an old-timey, like I call it, your grandmama's hydrangea, so it only blooms on the old growth. If, and that's a big if, you need to prune it to reduce the size, it's gotten too big for its space, this would be the time of year to do it. That way the plant has plenty of time to put on new growth and form those buds for next year. So now is the time to go in there, prune those macs only if you need to. I am doing it to clean up the plant, encourage more growth. I have got some little new buds right here. When we prune, that also encourages branching. So because this blooms on old and new growth, we will get more flowers throughout the summer. It makes a huge difference in how they look. So you look at this one that I just cleaned up versus this one that I have not touched. So don't be afraid to prune your hydrangeas. You can come in here and selectively deadhead. It makes a big difference in the neat and tidiness and the freshness looking of your garden. Cleaning up those Let's Dance Skyview make a huge difference, my friend. It already looks neater and tidier, and you can see that the blooms that we left, those are the nice, really pretty, fresh blooms. Here you can see the one that I did prune, well, I pruned them all, but you can see that bright new green growth right here? That is going to encourage all this new growth and encourage those fresh new little flower buds that are going to come because this blooms on new and old growth. So we're going to get a second flush of flowers. Cleaning up redirects all of that energy back into the plant so that it can produce more flowers, more branching, and is a happier plant. Summer garden principle number 4, know what can go. Sometimes, you know, for everything there is a season. And in the season of abundance and glory, we enjoy it. But that season will come to an end. And when it does, we as the gardener, the steward, the caretaker of our gardens, we need to go and help that plant. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm looking at my hostas. I have got quite a few hostas in here, and they bloom. They are gorgeous. I personally love hosta blooms. Depending on the hosta will determine what color flower you have. The hosta flowers are huge pollinator attractors. As you can see, like right now, thank you, right on cue, I have got bumblebees buzzing around. They enjoy these flowers a lot. Even the hummingbirds, my friends, they love hosta blooms as well. Nice and fragrant. You can see that this one is like a tall, nice big hosta, has those pretty white flowers. But like I said, some of them are, you know, they're different colors. Like this Wrinkle in Time, she has more like lavender colored flowers. Completely different, nice and sweet. And then we have Wiggles and Squiggles back here behind Bashful Betty. So Wiggles and Squiggles, she was my first hosta to bloom, and she is done. So what we're going to do is we are going to come in here, my friends, and we are going to, if you want to call it deadheading, whatever you want to call it, we're going to prune back those flower scapes, because as you can see, they're done. There's just like maybe one right here, but while I'm in this space, I am going to go ahead and prune it. If you have hostas that maybe have some leaf damage, maybe it's some burn, maybe you hit it or something. So there's a hosta back here that has a little bit of burn on the edge. This is also a great time to go ahead and get in there and clean it up, because your hostas will produce more flowers, not flowers, excuse me, more foliage as the season goes on. So if you have burnt or damaged ones, you certainly can go in there and clean it up. There's no doubt that we're in July in the southeast, because dear heavens, it's like not even 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm already glistening. So I do want to put a little bit of word of encouragement from my especially southern, southeastern gardeners with your hostas. If you are in the lowlands, the Piedmont, right? Not necessarily the mountains. If your nights and days are sticky and hot like mine, just know that hostas love cool weather. They thrive in those cooler, dare I say, a little bit drier conditions. There comes a point in the season with my hostas that they just start to look bad. And typically that is in July. They're gonna look I can't even talk. See, tired and sad. The heat is getting to me. Tired and sad. The foliage starts just to look not fresh. Y'all, there's nothing you're doing. It is the environment in which we live. And that's where we just accept it and go, okay, you were gorgeous in the spring and early summer, thoroughly enjoyed you. You're just gonna look a little rough right now. And that is okay. I start to look a little rough in July and August. It's okay that my hostas do as well. But taking off those flower scapes helps send that energy back into the roots and producing more foliage, and not the plant trying to keep those flower scapes alive and healthy. So we're just going to snip them off. Go down as far as you can in the hosta and snip it off. And finally, garden principle number 5. I really think this is the best, most practical garden principle that goes not only in the summer, my friends, it goes year round. Gardens and plants and yourself do not have to be perfect all the time. Dare I say, I say it all the time, you know, perfection is only found in the dictionary. There are absolutely moments of absolute gorgeousness, but please do not expect perfection from yourself or from your gardens all the time, especially in the summer. There is grace in gardening, and even plants deserve a little grace. Case in point, my scaevolas. Moments of gorgeousness, firelight tidbit, and then right behind it, my scaevola. Y'all, I planted this scaevola right before the heat wave, and they're on the struggle bus, so we are going to help them out. Scaevolas, of course, love the heat. They love the humidity. Once established, they are drought tolerant. My problem was they were not established when the heat hit. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, give them a little love, help them out, give them some grace so that way that they can bounce back and be beautiful. Y'all, do not give up on your plants if they look like this. This is very much salvageable. Gardening teaches you patience and grace for yourself and for your plants. Let me show you what I'm going to do. What we're going to focus on are the plants that are struggling. So we've got several in here that are struggling. Really, I see 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Then we've got 4 that are doing well, and they're going to be just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're just going to prune, y'all. We're going to cut back. And yes, I'm going to be kind of severe because my goal is to reduce the stress on the plant. I want it to regenerate new growth down in here. Instead of the plant trying to keep the whole thing alive, now it has less plant to put the energy into. So we're just going to come through, especially those long limbs on the outside. I am not being precise. I am just going to come in here and I am going to cut them. If you want to be precise, you can. You can go right above 2 leaf nodes and do that. I'm not worried about it because these are annuals. They're tough. I know that they will be just fine and bounce back really well. Now, depending on your weather, if you are in your normal range as far as temperatures, this is a great time to go ahead and fertilize the plants with water-soluble fertilizer. Definitely want to keep them nice and moist. Give them the water because remember, drought tolerant does not mean drought proof. They still need water. Once those roots get really happy and start going out, then they become much more drought tolerant. We haven't reached that stage yet. We're getting there. So prune it, and then I've got one more step for you. My friends, don't ever be afraid to give plants extra protection, okay? Also, you know Mimi, my mama. She's amazing. I love her for many reasons, but she has been such a great garden mentor for me. She was the one that turned me on, yes, my friends, to these cutie patootie plant umbrellas. They are specifically designed for plants to go in your garden. They are like cute little mini umbrellas that you can add to your garden. Get them off of Amazon. I'll link it for you. There's nothing in it for me. I'm just going to link it for you. So I got a 6-pack and I got 2 packs of the 6-packs. But what they're great is because they have the stakes that go into the ground, and then there's 2 additional bars that will go onto this. So the height is adjustable. In this case, I want to have a low, short umbrella because I want to come in here and protect these scaevolas from the hot afternoon sun. So I come in here, push it down in there. And that way, when the sun is here shooting down, it gives those scaevolas a break from the hot, intense afternoon sun. Once they start pushing out new growth and are happy, then I can start looking at the weather and removing this and make sure that they're okay. Now, the only thing is because these scaevolas are kind of pulled out a little bit, like they're spread out, I may need to add another umbrella to kind of hit this corner. In fact, I probably will go ahead and get another umbrella and put it there. Let's do that. Hold that thought. I have to say that I do enjoy the fact that the umbrellas come in these really cute little colors because, you know, don't take yourself too seriously, my friends. Just have fun in the garden, including the choice of the umbrella colors. I'm trying to get this to go in right beside this guy. Down we go. All right, so there we go. We have protection. Now, the scaevolas are going to get morning sun this way. That's all right. That's gentle. I think about the hot afternoon sun. They're going to get a break. I can still get in here and easily water these guys. It is 10 a.m. on the dot, and that is kind of my timeline of being done in the full sun garden during the summer. But y'all, there we go. Those little 5 garden principles make a huge difference. Now, you may not notice a massive difference, but I do. I don't see weeds. I don't see my Let's Dance sky views with those older blooms. Things look fresh to me. I know I have the reassurance that my containers have been well watered, that they can go through today in these warm temperatures and be just fine. I know that my sweet little scavolas are going to be just fine underneath their new umbrellas, and before I know it, they are absolutely going to be growing, blooming, and thriving in this garden. You don't have to plant new plants all the time, especially during these hot summer months. Notice I did not plant one thing. All I did was just a little bit of maintenance to help support my garden do what it is intended to do, right? These plants can now continue to grow, bloom, and thrive and handle these summer temperatures like champions and be fantastic. As I stand here in the shade on the other side of the driveway, I say it all the time. There is grace in gardening, my friends. Sometimes your garden looks like it just is thriving, like the success. You can gauge the success of your garden because of the amount of flowers that you have. You can also gauge the success of your garden as how they handle those warmer, more stressful times of the year. For us in North Carolina, winter is not the stress. It is the heat and the humidity of July and August and even September. So these 5 principles help my garden thrive through those months. Remember, give yourself and your gardens some grace. It is well deserved and it is okay. As always, we hope you found it fun, informative, and inspirational. We would love it if you would like and subscribe. That way you don't miss 5 videos that we do each and every week with encouragement and helpful tips for your garden year-round. Y'all have an amazing day. Brenda and I are going to move to the shade and continue doing a little bit of weeding because the weeds, man, they are prospering this summer. Y'all have a great day. Bye, friends.